Knight Rider won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is all about Alien in space. No one can hear you scream.
Yeah. God, I love this movie so much.
Oh my God. I was just screaming in space.
Wow, that works really well on a podcast.
You can't hear it. We're in space. We're recording this.
Yeah.
We built our own Nostromo, and launched it. Probably saw it on the news.
Yeah.
First podcast done from space.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. What's that? Someone's in here with us.
Again, really great material for a podcast.
Yeah, it's acting, Adam. I'm an actor. Man, watching this movie again, it totally holds up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Special effects, everything. And it takes place in 2037, which is coming up in 12 years, 13 years.
13 years.
Ish.
Yeah.
And it totally looks like that's the technology can still work, except for maybe the screens, but even that, like...
Yeah, I mean, they would probably have different fonts and things, but for the most part, that could be... I could imagine a commercial enterprise sending people out into space to get, materials.
Oh, yeah.
And it literally being like, this is the best we got. Have fun.
They're already starting to plan to farm asteroids and different things in space, so this isn't far off. I mean... Honestly, by the time we get into the 2030s, this might be happening.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, another 14 years, But
it's got that kind of NASA-centric sci-fi look that lends itself to realism, that it's grounded in reality. It's like more of a...
hard sci-fi.
Hard sci-fi. Hard
SF, as they say in the literary world.
Nerds. Hard sci-fi. It's like hard cider.
I'm more apt to watch hard sci-fi than I am to read it, because reading it is like reading technical manuals. It is really boring.
It sounds like the worst category in Pornhub.
They're hard sci-fi.
Yeah. I'm going to watch some hard sci-fi.
But it totally works in this. And honestly, there is obviously like... they have artificial gravity somehow and things like that. And there's things that they're obviously not going to worry about in a lower budget film like this.
Sure.
But that doesn't belie the fact that it's a fantastic science fiction movie.
It's great. It's not, as they learn later, Jaws in space. It's more, it's just a slow burn. It is the perfect double feature with The Thing. These two movies match together better than any other sci-fi movies I can think of. Older casts, there's nobody, there's nobody under 30 in The Thing, and there's only two people under 30 in Alien.
Yeah,
and it's just nobody's buff, nobody is a hero or a heroine. They're just regular folks who are thrust into this horrible situation, which Sigourney Weaver from the outset knew was a bad idea.
She was right.
She was right from the beginning. That's why she deserved to live and everybody else deserved to die. Because they disobeyed her order. She was in charge of the ship.
There was a great meme. A guy had his wife she'd watch movies that he watched growing up, and she summarized this as, it's a horror movie because no one listened to the woman.
Yeah.
And they all died because of it.
Yeah, listen to the cat lady, people.
She was so right the whole time, and it's just driven so much harder.
Exactly. And look, Ian Holm had his, his secret little mishies to do, because he was a, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
A robot.
He was. They called him a robot a couple times.
And they changed that to synthetics in the movies, subsequent movies.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I think that's because of the ties to Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Which, as far as I know, these movies all take place in the same universe. Blade Runner and Alien.
Now I want Harrison Ford to go after the alien. 30 years ago.
All right. Well, take yourself back to 1979.
Yeah.
February 24th in Hubie, North Yorkshire in the United Kingdom, Philip Shepardson claimed time stopped after he locked eyes with the alien crew of a triangular UFO he claims to have seen hovering over a field one morning.
I was walking down the field one morning, and I just looked up, and all of a sudden, a crew of a triangular spaceship was looking directly at me. We locked eyes. We locked them. I was looking in their eyes, their big black eyes, and they were looking into my eyes. And then all of a sudden, we kissed. And we were in love, and we kissed, and we smooched, and we ran away together, and nobody agreed with it. They said interspecies, interplanetary romance is not for you. The church said no, but I did it anyway, and now I'm back because it didn't work out.
Wow. All right. Thanks, Phil.
I was the other man. I was a mister. Like a mistress, but a mister.
I feel like he watched a little bit too much Doctor Who.
He did? I did.
Philip did. I mean, yeah.
Time stopped.
Exactly. March 4th, the U.S. Voyager 1 space probe photos revealed Jupiter's rings for the first time.
I have a feeling you put this in there just so I could go, Beeger.
No, I actually did not even think about that at all.
I can't. You block it out of your mind.
It just blows my mind that we didn't know Jupiter had rings until March 4th of 1979.
It's insane. When you really look at the history of, like, space exploration and space discovery, it's really not that long of a time. Basically 100 years or so.
Yeah.
That we really started getting into it. And, Voyager was an insane... The stuff that we did back in the 60s...
Oh, I know.
Back in the 60s and 70s in terms of space and stuff, it seems like we just... What did we do? Did we just burn everything and throw it away and start over? Because it seems like we're starting from zero.
I don't know.
Just a bunch of billionaires with their wiener rockets.
I think Reagan in the 80s tried to make NASA more military-esque, and then they kind of were like, meh, and then they lost funding, and that was it.
Because he wanted to implement the Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, he wanted to use it to
SDI.
Be able to destroy Russia that much faster than they destroyed us.
I get it, but if we would have kept on the same trajectory that we had in the 60s in terms of space exploration, we would have been so far ahead at this point.
We'd be on Mars
We
right
would
now.
Definitely be on Mars.
We'd probably have like 3 generations on Mars by this point.
It's just sick. It sucks.
This is For All Mankind. Doesn't that cover that whole... The show kind of covers that, like, if we continued the space stuff?
Yes, but it also, it's an alternate reality where Russia hit the moon first.
Oh.
So that's why. I mean, because of them...
Right.
One-upping us, that got us to push for Mars,
right.
And so the race was continued because we didn't win.
Right. Okay.
Which makes
That's
sense.
interesting. I still need to watch that show.
I'm a couple seasons behind, I think.
Pretty sure they just announced they're doing one more season and it's done. So I'm curious to sit down and watch the whole thing.
Yeah, but it's just, I mean, once we started going to the privatization of space travel, it just blows. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's just, I mean,
agree.
It's becoming space tourism, which is just another playground for the ultra rich, and it just means nothing to the rest of us.
I have a whole long theory about how going to space is the stupidest thing alive because it literally is trying to kill you all the time.
Well, sure.
And I think most of these billionaires don't realize that. They'd look at like Star Trek and go, yeah, it'll be fine.
Well, Adam, what they see is that the billionaires have found a different planet which they can go to and survive and be the overlords to the feeling Earth in which we will be on.
Great. Can they please leave now?
Yeah.
June 15th, McDonald's introduces the Happy Meal in the United States in a nationwide advertising campaign after testing the product since February in franchises in the U.S. state of Missouri.
It was cool, man. I remember when the Happy Meal was introduced, and it was like, you get a toy?
Yeah, I was less than a year old, so to me, the Happy Meal's always been around.
Yeah.
So, like, it's weird to think that it was 1979.
None of the children were happy until 1979, Adam. Then happiness came in the form of a cardboard box and a crappy little toy.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's a Ronald McDonald's bendable buddy.
So June 22nd, Alien goes into wide release after making a May 25th premiere at the opening night of the 4th Seattle International Film Festival, presented in 70mm.
Yeah, the only way to see it.
Yeah. So, while studying cinema at the University of Southern California, Dan O'Bannon had made a science fiction comedy film, Dark Star, with director John Carpenter and concept artist Ron Cobb, with production beginning in late 1970.
Nice.
Cobb would go on to do concept art for Star Wars, Alien, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Conan the Barbarian, Back to the Future, The Abyss, and Total Recall.
A bunch of movies nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah, I don't even know. I'd never heard of this guy before. O'Bannon scripted, starred, and edited Dark Star. Dark Star featured an alien created by spray painting a beach ball and adding rubber claws, which was played for comedic effect. The experience left O'Bannon.
Really wanted to do an alien that looked real.
A couple of years later, he began working on a similar story that would focus more on horror.
I knew I wanted to do a scary movie on a spaceship with a small number of astronauts. Dark Star is a horror movie instead of a comedy.
Have you seen Dark Star?
I have not.
Okay, so it's available on YouTube.
Okay.
And I watched it. It is really not good. It is... I bought the alien they talked about. Like, the whole thing's a comedy.
Sure.
Because then it's John Carpenter. I was like, I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they were all just super high the entire time. Because the story doesn't really make sense.
Well, were you super high when you were watching it?
No.
Well, that's the problem, Adam.
But it's just not... It's not bad. It's just not great or really good. It's just kind of there.
Well, nobody's first movies are usually great.
Yeah. And it was made on like $1,000 budget. I mean, it was really cheap. So Ronald Shusett, meanwhile, was working on an early version of what would eventually become Total Recall.
Okay.
In 1974, Shusett was the first to option the Philip K. Dick's short story We Can Remember It For You Wholesale that became the basis of the film Total Recall. Impressed by Dark Star, he contacted O'Bannon, and the two agreed to collaborate on their projects, choosing to work on O'Bannon's film first, as they believed it would be less costly to produce.
All right.
Just amazing. It just amazes me that all of these movies took so long to get made.
I know. Well, that's
Yeah.
just every movie basically takes a million years to get made.
Yeah. I mean,
Unless you make it yourself, unless it's Star Wars or something, and you.
if you spend 3 years or less on a feature film, consider yourself lucky.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, every movie I've ever produced or worked on, it takes 3 years to get it done.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just long. Yeah. O'Bannon had written 29 pages of a script titled Memory, containing what would become the opening scenes of Alien. A crew of astronauts awakens to find that their voyage has been interrupted because they are receiving a signal from a mysterious planetoid.
Nice.
They investigate and their ship breaks down on the surface. He did not yet have a clear idea as to what the alien antagonist of the story would be.
Okay. Well, maybe he'd be a buddy.
He would be a beach ball with claws.
Hey guys, you need help fixing your ship?
O'Bannon soon accepted an offer to work on Alejandro Jodorowsky's adaptation of Dune, a project that took him to Paris for 6 months.
Ooh la la.
Yeah. Though the project ultimately fell through, it introduced him to several artists whose work gave him ideas for his science fiction story, including Chris Voss, H.R. Geiger, and Jean Mobius Giraud.
Some of the biggest names in sci-fi artistry.
Mobius is my absolute favorite artist. Not like he does a lot of comic book stuff, but like his art is just so perfect. O'Bannon was impressed by Foss's covers for science fiction books, while he found Geiger's work disturbing.
His paintings had a profound effect on me. I had never seen anything that was quite as horrible and at the time as beautiful as his work. And so I ended up writing a script about a Geiger monster.
I was when I went to Germany. There was in Frankfurt. There was a film museum there, and they had a huge exhibit on Geiger and like some of the original Alien props and stuff. It was so cool. The dude has a very odd mind.
Well, yeah, his work he's right. It's very disturbing and beautiful. It's also kind of the basis of just about every damn sci-fi, especially video game, man. I mean, he dominates the sci-fi video game sphere. And all of the tech on this movie and Star Wars and this kind of stuff, this kind of hard sci-fi tech, that's Fallout, that's Starfield, that's, every one of these games that comes out. And these movies, too. It's just, it created an entire aesthetic.
Yeah.
This and Blade Runner basically drove what sci-fi looks like for the next 20, 30 years.
I think the term you're looking for is retrofuturistic,
Yes.
which is amazing. And of course, Blade Runner like spawned cyberpunk. I mean, that was the beginning of the whole cyberpunk.
Well, yeah. Well, this whole month, what we're doing this month is the ones that started them all.
Yeah.
And every one of these films that we're doing this month, Alien and Terminator and Rambo, First Blood.
First Blood, yeah.
They all have franchises that have survived till today.
Yeah.
Basically. I think Rambo might be done, but it had a new one like 2 years ago.
Had a Last Blood.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see if that's the actual Last Blood.
I got more blood than you. But these three movies are juggernauts that have spawned over 40 years almost.
Yeah.
And so many different, not just movies and TV shows, but video games and board games and
huge.
books. And
Comic books.
Entire industries have been formed by these 3 movies.
Sometimes kids' cartoons.
Sometimes kid cartoons. Yeah, I love My Buddy the Alien cartoon. I mean, there's a little alien that he took to school, and every episode, it munched somebody. Usually the bully.
So after the Dune project collapsed, O'Bannon returned to Los Angeles to live with Shusett, and the two revived his memory script.
Were they living in sin?
I don't think so. Okay. I think they were just friends.
All right. Just saying.
Shusett suggested that O'Bannon use one of his other film ideas about gremlins infiltrating a B-17 bomber during World War II and set it on the spaceship as the second half of the story.
He meant the Warner Brothers cartoon idea that he stole from, which was the exact thing.
The Gremlins?
Yeah. You ever see the Gremlins?
Well, but that came from... That was the whole thing in the Army. Or
yeah. But I mean, the Warner Brothers did it perfectly.
Sure.
Like 2 or 3 times.
Sure. It had been in the social consciousness before that.
In the zeitgeist, as they say?
Yes, in the zeitgeist, yes. The working title of the project was now Star Beast, but O'Bannon disliked this and changed it to Alien after noting the number of times that the word appeared in the script.
Yeah, and Star Beast is stupid.
It sounds like a really bad 80s sci-fi movie.
Again, a really bad thing to search for on Pornhub.
Star Beast? Yeah, don't Google Star Beast, whatever you do.
Hard sci-fi Star Beast combo.
Shusett and O'Bannon like the new title Simplicity and its double meaning as both a noun and an adjective.
Okay, neat. A couple of word nerds.
Neat. Yeah. Shusett came up with the idea that one of the crew members could be implanted with an alien embryo that would burst out of him.
Brilliant.
He thought this would be an interesting plot device by which the alien could get aboard the ship.
Amazing. An amazing plot device. And not something that we've seen before.
No.
That I can recollect.
Oh, and it's so funny because when John Hurt, he comes back and the thing's gone, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. we're gonna sit down and have a meal." I totally forgot how fast that went.
Yeah.
And suddenly it was just like, all right, here we go, kick into high gear.
Well, it was ready to, it's once the face hugger comes off, the baby's ready to be born.
Yeah.
And it's coming whether you like it or not.
In writing the script, O'Bannon drew inspiration from many previous works of science fiction and horror. He later stated,
"I didn't steal Alien from anybody. I stole it from everybody." See what I did there?
The Thing from Another World from 1951 inspired the idea of professional men being pursued by a deadly alien creature through a claustrophobic environment. Forbidden Planet from 1956 gave O'Bannon the idea of a ship being warned not to land, and then the crew being killed one by one by a mysterious creature when they defy the warning. Planet of the Vampires from 1965 contains a scene in which the heroes discover a giant alien skeleton. This influenced the Nostromo crew's discovery of the alien creature in the derelict spacecraft. O'Bannon has also noted the influence of Junkyard from 1953, a short story by Clifford D. Simak, in which a crew lands on an asteroid and discovers a chamber full of eggs.
Okay. At least he's,
he admits
honest about it.
He has also cited his influences Strange Relations by Philip Jose Farmer from 1960, which covers alien reproduction and various EC Comics horror titles carrying stories in which monsters eat their way out of people. So he happily stole from everybody. I find it very interesting. I do want to say that because I don't know if we're going to talk about it again, but the giant skeleton, the giant alien skeleton, was one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Oh, everybody loved that and the way they did it with the kids is really funny. I mean,
the tiny,
but yeah, I mean that I love stuff that offers more questions than answers.
Yes,
and develops an entire story that you don't know about.
Yeah,
and that you want to know about. And I think we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but I think Prometheus is what kind of explained it. And I think, if I'm remembering correctly, that the explanation was that these big aliens, those guys,
the big gray dudes,
who basically that guy, they have goo, and they bring their goo and they put it in the primordial ooze. They put their goo in there, basically making babies.
Making
planet babies with the goo,
right?
And so their goo mixes up.
They're experimenting with
primordial
life and stuff.
soup.
Yeah.
And then life comes out, and then they created the alien creatures as the failsafe, as the break in case of glass.
Yeah.
We need to destroy all. It's basically the planet killers.
Yeah. But that also leads into questions of like, well, then what happened to this guy? Because he obviously had one burst out of him.
Yeah.
So like, if he was creating them, I mean, but again though, that's just like he's on screen for 20 seconds.
Exactly.
And it's like, I could write 4 more movies about this.
Sure, people that create bioweapons and stuff, sometimes they are hoisted by their own petard.
Yeah, very, very true. Yes.
You're working with some volatile creatures, Adam.
But that right there makes it then like more interesting,
Right.
because you have a backstory that you don't know anything. It's just enough hint of a backstory.
And just enough stuff to be like, get the F out of there, people.
Yeah. How many more red flags do
Good
you
Lord.
need?
I mean, come on. And then
The second John Hurt falls down into the egg laying area and he sees the thing moving, best idea, stick your face over it. That's cool.
here's the one thing that was missing from this movie that dates it. There's no video.
Yeah.
Like, they would have all had video
They would have been
on there
pushing
even
video
if they're minor 49ers, they still have.
But even then, I'm gonna go with the fact that the company they work for is just cheap as hell.
Maybe. I mean, but that's the only thing.
But it also, technically, they shouldn't need it because theoretically they should never have left the ship. I mean, that was the whole thing. They went out to go pick up all the refinery equipment
Right.
and then bring it back. Like, I don't think they were ever intending on actually, landing on a planet.
Sure, but it's part of their protocol. I'm just saying.
I know. I agree.
But, I get it because it's 79. It wasn't really, they didn't have the technology to make it that.
I'm gonna chalk it up to corporate malfeasance.
All right.
With most of the plot in space, Shusett and O'Bannon presented their script to several studios, pitching it as
Jaws in space.
Yeah, I mean Jaws was huge, so that makes sense.
The shark? Yeah, it was pretty big. Took up a lot of space. Is that what you're saying? Bruce the shark?
They were on the verge of signing a deal with Roger Corman's studio when a friend offered to find them a better deal and pass the script on to Gordon Carroll, David Giler, and Walter Hill, who had formed a production company called Brandywine with ties to 20th Century Fox.
Hey, they're going to sell it to Corman. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa. Before you do that, I got a better deal for you.
Yeah.
One that won't be, relegated to the drive-ins.
We've talked about Brandywine before. They actually did a lot of movies in the 70s and 80s. Gordon Carroll was a producer who had produced such hits as Cool Hand Luke in 1967 and Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid in 1973.
Not Billy the Kids?
Not Billy the Kids, as I wrote down.
I want to see that movie.
Billy the Kids.
It's like a bunch of clones.
David Giler was a writer who wrote movies like Parallax View in 1974.
Great.
Yeah, and Fun with Dick and Jane in 1977.
Great. That one was great.
Which was actually directed by Ted Kotcheff, who goes on to direct First Blood. We'll talk about next week.
Nice. Yeah, Fun with Dick and Jane was a really funny movie. They remade it horribly.
Wasn't that with Steve Carell?
And
no.
Tia Leone.
Oh,
No,
was
it was
it?
Tia Leone and
Will Ferrell?
No, and Jim Carrey.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Ugh. Walter Hill. I haven't seen Parallax View in a long time. I need to see it. I don't think I've ever seen the original Fun with Dick and Jane, so got to put it on my list.
Cool Hand Luke is one of the best films ever
How many
made.
hard-boiled eggs can he eat?
We gotta pay you communicate.
It's such a good movie. Walter Hill started as a writer, writing The Getaway in 1972, based on the Jim Thompson novel.
Great movie
Always got to mention Jim Thompson.
and great novel. Again, if you're a fan of noir or hard-boiled detective books,
Pot boilers, yeah.
Pot Boilers, Jim Thompson's your man.
Woo, he's the way to go.
An amazing writer who never got his due.
No, he did not.
He died penniless and thinking he was a failure, and then after he died, he became a huge success.
He did. Walter Hill also wrote The Drowning Pool in 1975, starring Paul Newman, before turning to directing to his own writing with Hard Times in 1975, which was the debut of Charles Bronson.
These are hard times, Pally. We're having some hard times.
The Driver in 1978, starring Ryan O'Neal and Bruce Dern.
Okay.
And The Warriors in 1979.
Warriors, come out and play.
O'Bannon and Shusett signed a deal with Brandywine, but Hill and Giler were not satisfied with the script and made numerous rewrites and revisions.
Can I just tell you how much I hate the name Brandywine?
Yeah, I'm not a fan either.
Makes it sound like we're going to have a little cocktail in
Yeah.
Middle Earth.
I can't imagine. Hey, it's the Warriors from this company, Brandywine.
Makes me think of that. Brandy, it is a lady.
Oh,
That
not
song.
Brandy, you're a fine girl.
Brandy, how does that go?
You're-
Brandy, you're a fine
Fine
girl.
girl, what a good wife you would be.
What a horrible song. What a good
I
wife you
love
would-
that song.
Okay, but yes, Brandy.
But that song is about sailors and how he can't. She's in love with him and he can't because he's married to the sea.
Okay.
I really love that song.
But, Brandy can be something other than just a good wife, Adam.
I will say, who
Brandy
else?
could be a doctor.
You know who else really hates that song? The band that wrote it, because it's nothing like their other music and is the only hit they had.
It's sad.
Yeah. So the rewrites and revisions caused tension with O'Bannon and Shusett, since Hill and Giler had very little experience with science fiction. According to Shusett,
they weren't good at making it better, or in fact, at not making it even worse.
Yeah. They shouldn't have been rewriting things at the end of the day. O'Bannon believed that Hill and Giler were attempting to justify taking his name off the script and claiming Schusett's and his work as their own.
Right. They wanted to make it a Brandywine production in-house with all of their little...
Dip their fingers in as hard as they can. Hill and Giler did add some substantial elements to the story, including the android character Ash, which O'Bannon felt was unnecessary subplot, but which Shusett later described as
one of the best things in the movie. That whole idea and scenario was theirs.
Although I will say, Ian Holm, the like him kind of malfunctioning or whatever, is some of the creepiest stuff on screen.
God,
it's
awesome.
So weird.
When he pops that head off and everything,
oh,
it was really jarring. I mean,
yeah.
Watching it again, it's great because he's got a whole other movie going on.
Yeah,
Ian Holm, and a whole other thing. And if you really pay attention to his performance, it's ridiculous how good it is.
Yeah. He's fantastic.
He's just a sneaky little sneak.
Hill and Giler went through 8 drafts of the script in total, concentrating largely on the Ash subplot, but also making the dialogue more natural and trimming some sequences set on the alien planetoid. Despite the fact that the final shooting script was written by Hill and Giler, the Writers Guild of America awarded O'Bannon sole credit for the screenplay.
Good.
It makes sense they would spend time on this because it adds that extra backstory that could potentially turn it into a franchise.
Sure. I'm sure they weren't thinking of franchise because there wasn't a lot of franchise potential back then.
But potentially sequels.
Sure.
I mean, theoretically, you could be like, oh, if it does well, then we can shift it off into something else.
Let's open-end it. I mean, that's basically why... Ridley Scott changed the ending to have her survive because it leaves it open.
Right. Despite these rewrites, 20th Century Fox did not express confidence in financing a science fiction film.
Yeah, science fiction was just the redheaded stepchild of Hollywood back then until Star Wars came out.
After the success of Star Wars in 1977, surprise, the studio's interest in the genre rose substantially.
Wait a minute.
Huh? According to Carroll,
when Star Wars came out and was the extraordinary hit that it was, suddenly science fiction became a hot genre.
O'Bannon recalled that
they wanted to follow through on Star Wars, and they wanted to follow through fast. The only spaceship strip they had sitting on their desk was Alien.
Alien was greenlit by 20th Century Fox with an initial budget of $4.2 million. Alien was funded by North Americans but made by 20th Century Fox's British production subsidiary.
Okay.
Yeah, technically it was a foreign film. I don't know if you realize that.
Well, it's in space, Adam. There's no more foreign place than space.
O'Bannon had originally assumed that he would direct Alien, but 20th Century Fox instead asked Hill to direct.
Excuse me? Yeah, I thought I was going to direct it.
I love that they just, literally, Brandywine's just trying to get Dan O'Bannon off this project entirely.
I should have gone to Corman. You guys are jerks.
Hill declined due to other film commitments, as well as not being comfortable with the level of visual effects that would be required.
I'm not comfortable with this at all.
Other directors considered for directing were Peter Yates, director of Bullet in 1968, Mother Jugs and Speed in 1976, and The Deep in 1977.
He's a good director.
Yeah. All 3 of those movies are good.
Well,
The Deep's okay.
They're all okay. I mean, The Great Gatsby's not... They're all okay.
Yeah. Jack Clayton, director of The Great Gatsby in 1974. Robert Aldrich, director of The Dirty Dozen in 1967 and The Longest Yard in 1974.
He seems like, out of the bunch, to be the most... most suited for the project.
Agreed. And Robert Altman, director of The Long Goodbye in 1973, Nashville in 1975, and a ton of other movies.
Oh my God, I would have loved to see the Robert Altman Aliens. It would have been 3.5 hours long. It would have just been a bunch of people sitting around the table talking over each other.
Just for the whole movie. And then the alien pops up and he's like, hey guys.
The alien will be like,
I'm supposed to be killing you or something?
I think I'm going to eat you guys. What do you think about that? Let's talk about it for 45 minutes.
It makes me feel kind of sad.
Yeah, exactly. I love Robert Altman.
Oh, yeah.
He's just, honestly, I think it would have been really interesting to see his take on it.
I want to see Altman do just a sci-fi movie. I think it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't now, but
unless you clone him, bring him back from the deed.
But O'Bannon, Shusett, and the Brandywine team felt that these directors would not take the film seriously and would instead treat it as a B monster movie.
That's fair, because
It could so easily have fallen into that.
Well, the fact that Roger Corman wanted it, that's you would have exactly got that. You would have got a slapdash rubber monster running around. Honestly, most of the movies that Corman made in the 80s and 90s were just direct ripoffs of Alien.
Yeah.
I worked on one.
Yeah.
The Terror Within Part 2, which is basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Terror Within Part 1. It's just double rips.
Giler, Hill, and Carroll had been impressed by Ridley Scott's debut feature film The Duelists in 1977 and made an offer to him to direct Alien, which Scott quickly accepted.
I'll take it.
Have you seen The Duelists?
Mm-hmm, I have.
Starred Keith Carradine and Harvey Keitel as two French hussar officers in the Napoleonic Wars, Dubert and Ferrot, whose quarrel over an initially minor incident turns into a bitter extended feud spanning 15 years.
Yeah, I think that movie... There was a movie that was also based on that came out recently with...
Oh, was there?
Yeah, it was that movie. It kind of came and went. It was with Ben Affleck and he played like the king. It was it sounds awful. It sounded awful. And I think Matt Damon was in it.
Oh, weird.
And it was
that's actually sounding more familiar now.
Yeah. And it wasn't The Green Knight, but it was something like that.
No, The Green Knight definitely was not that.
No, but it came out around the same time, and I think it had the same actor as...
Oh, the lead guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ahmed.
I can't remember his name.
Ferrara.
You still haven't seen The Green Knight, have you?
Nope.
It's a great movie.
Yeah,
Highly recommend it. I've not seen The Duelist. I need to watch it. I do like it that now, 40 plus years later, Ridley Scott has come back to Napoleon and has actually just made a Napoleon movie.
Right, which apparently is the most unintentionally funny movie of the year, which makes me really want to see it.
Excited to see it.
I was not excited before because I'm a little bit... I have had my fill of Joaquin Phoenix, I think, for a little while, but I now want to see it because it sounds ridiculous.
I'm curious. Ridley Scott's very hit and miss.
Yeah, but even his misses are extremely interesting, and there's something to watch.
Right,
exactly. Even Kingdom of... What was that?
Heaven?
Kingdom of Heaven. Even that has...
With Orlando Bloom.
Even that has...
Did you see the director's cut? That was 4.5 hours long.
Of course not.
Scott created...
You haven't seen it until you've seen the 15-hour version.
No. Scott created detailed storyboards for the film in London, which impressed Fox enough to double the film's budget. His storyboards include designs for the spaceship and spacesuits, drawing on such films as 2001: A Space Odyssey and Star Wars. However, he was keen on emphasizing horror in Alien rather than fantasy, describing the film as...
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre of science fiction.
Yeah. Casting calls and auditions for Alien were held in both New York City and London.
Well, that's silly, though. It's not the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, I get what he's saying, but it's like...
Yeah.
That's going to a family and... I don't know. Not apt. Not apt.
All right. Casting calls and auditions for Alien were held in both New York City and London. With only 7 human characters in the story, Scott sought to hire strong actors so he could focus most of his energy on the film's visual style.
Yeah. Casting is so important in this, too.
Oh, yeah. In developing the story, O'Bannon had focused on writing the alien first, putting off developing the other characters. Shusett and he had intentionally written all the roles generically. They made a note in the script that explicitly states,
"The crew is unisex, and all parts are interchangeable for men and women."
That's cool.
Yeah, that's groundbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, it's not done very often. This freed Scott to interpret the characters as they pleased and to cast accordingly. They wanted the Nostromo's crew to resemble working astronauts in a realistic environment, a concept summarized as...
truckers in space. Doo-ga-doo-ga-doo.
I love that there's literally every 2 minutes there's a new description of the Alien movie.
It's all in space.
Jaws in space, truckers in space. According to Scott, this concept was inspired partly by Star Wars, which deviated from the pristine future often depicted in science fiction films of the time.
Everything was dirty. Everything was lived in. Everything had a sense of history to it. It wasn't this...
Everything was very blue collar.
Yeah, but it also was lived in and dirty and grungy, and it wasn't this... It wasn't this Logan's Run pristine view of the future where everything was 100% perfectly sterile.
Yeah. Those 7 human actors were Tom Skerritt as Dallas, captain of the Nostromo.
Yeah.
Skerritt had been approached early in the film's development, but declined as it did not yet have a director and had a very low budget.
The budget's too low for me, and you guys are going to need a director.
Producers turned to Harrison Ford, but he turned down the part.
No. I'm done with space
Literally just did a space opera.
Idiots.
Although he would have been great in the part.
It would have been amazing.
Later, when Scott was attached as director and the budget had been doubled, Tom Skerritt accepted the role.
All right, I'm in.
It's nice. Look, the man knows what he wants.
Now that you have a director and a budget, I'm not calling her mother. Okay, I'll call her.
Skerritt's first major film role was in MASH in 1970, directed by Robert Altman. Skerritt then appeared in Harold and Maude in 1971, Fuzz in 1972, starring Burt Reynolds.
I don't remember him in Harold and Maude.
I don't actually. The funny thing is, I don't think he was credited in Harold and Maude.
Okay, it's been a really long time since I've seen that as well. So,
Big Bad Mama in 1974, starring Angie Dickinson and William Shatner, and produced by Roger Corman. Skerritt has had a long career in film and TV, gaining 2 Emmy nominations for his role in Picket Fences in 1993 and 94.
Yeah, that was a big show. One of those quirky, I'm a sheriff of a small town.
It was a good show.
It was.
Yeah. His latest role was in East of the Mountains in 2021 at the age of 88. He's still kicking around at 90.
He does, and he looks like, he sure has gone the old lady route. Looks like an old lady with a mustache, but God love him. I'm glad he's still going.
He's around.
An amazing actor. I've always loved him.
East of the Mountains, it was literally him as like a trapper, like running through the forest. He was 88.
He's crazy. He's also just got that everyman quality that makes him stand out. He's good at playing lawmen. He's good at playing just regular dudes, and he was perfect in this role.
Yeah, because he is the guy that you turn to and you feel comforted because you know he's in charge.
And so many tropes were turned on their head for this movie. He would have been the star. He should have been the star, and the guy that killed the monster, that would have been the way to go.
Yeah.
And Sigourney Weaver should have been a helpless damsel in distress, but she kicks ass.
Yeah.
I forgot how much she really kicks ass in this movie.
Yeah.
I thought she was kind of milquetoast in this movie. No. I remember.
No, that's Veronica Cartwright.
But she didn't run. Not like that. But it really just one of the things that I love about this movie is how they took all of the kind of stereotypical Hollywood action, horror movie stuff. Black guy always dies first.
Yeah.
The woman needs to be rescued by the man. And just, Skerritt's one of the first to die.
Yeah.
I think he's the third, maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because it's first John Hurt and then Harry Dean Stanton.
And then I think it's Tom Skerritt because he's trying to find it. He's trying to be the hero.
He is being the hero, and it's just, get out of there, get out of there. Okay, Nancy Cartwright, you're not helping any. You're just making him nervous.
One of the gregreatest jump scares ever in the history of him going down and then turning, and it was just so fast.
And if you really look at it, the alien's like, give me a hug.
Hello.
Hi, I love you.
John Hurt was cast as Kane, the executive officer who becomes the host for the alien, technically the second in command.
Right.
Hurt was Scott's first choice for the role, but he was contracted on a film in South Africa during Alien's filming dates, so John Finch was cast as Kane instead. He was an English Shakespearean actor who most notably starred in films for directors Roman Polanski, Macbeth in 1971, and for Alfred Hitchcock in Frenzy in 1972.
Yeah, another mustachioed guy.
Yeah.
I like mustaches.
However, Finch became ill during the first day of shooting and was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which had also exacerbated a case of bronchitis.
Brutal.
Awful. Hurt was in London by this time, his South African project having fallen through, and he quickly replaced Finch.
Oh, serendipitous.
Yeah. Maybe he gave him type 1 diabetes.
They can never prove it.
His performance earned him a nomination for a BAFTA Award for Best Actor in a Supporting Role. Hurt's career spanned 5 decades. Director David Lynch described him as
simply the greatest actor in the world.
He possessed what was described as the
most distinctive voice in Britain.
Hurt came to prominence playing Richard Rich in the film A Man for All Seasons in 1966 and won the British Academy Television Award for Best Actor for The Naked Civil Servant in 1975.
Man for All Seasons, people don't know, it's about the kid Richie Rich, the richest kid in the world, the comic books, and then he grows up and he's now known as Richard Rich because, he's a man. But, he's not as fun as he was as a kid when he was Richie.
Hurt played Caligula in the BBC TV series I, Claudius in 1976.
Yeah, not to be confused with the Penthouse version of Caligula.
Ugh. God, I watched that in college. We watched that literally in a room of like 1,000 people, and the teacher was like, okay, here we go. And all of us 18-year-old doe-eyed just like, what is going on?
Well, okay, quick little speed bump on Caligula. It was produced by Penthouse, by Bob Guccione, I think his name was, right? Bob Guccione.
that was Penthouse, yeah.
And so it's not that bad a movie, but they just cut in a bunch of hardcore porno into it.
Yeah, it was
so
weird.
all of a sudden it goes from this period piece to these women with giant fake boobs and togas, making out with each other and putting things in their mouths.
So
and things.
weird.
It's
so
just
weird.
It's just so awkward and ham-fistedly done. It's like there's no finesse to the porn they put in there. It's basically like, how songs are mashed up?
Yeah.
This is like somebody mashed up porno in an actual film. Helen Mirren is in this, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
And Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah. So Hurt earned Academy Award nominations for Best Supporting Actor for Midnight Express in 1978, written by Oliver Stone and directed by Alan Parker.
Oh, God, that is such a great movie.
I've not seen that in a very long time.
Oh, man. If you ever think about smuggling heroin into Morocco, baby, watch this movie. You're going to lose a nut. Guy lost a testy.
He was nominated for Best Actor for The Elephant Man in 1980, directed by David Lynch. I am a human being. Such a great movie.
My name is John Merrick.
And produced by Mel Brooks.
Was
it? Yeah.
Oh my God.
You didn't know that? Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
On June 16th, Hurt worked nonstop during his career, later appearing in all of the Harry Potter movies and V for Vendetta, among countless others.
Harry Potter.
On June 16th, 2015, Hurt publicly announced that he had been diagnosed with early-stage pancreatic cancer.
Ugh.
He confirmed that he would continue to work while undergoing treatment and said that both he and the medical team treating him were
more than optimistic about a satisfactory outcome.
Following treatment, he stated his cancer was in remission on October 12th, 2015.
Nice.
Unfortunately, he died at his home in Cromer, Norfolk on January 25th, 2017, 3 days after his 77th birthday.
Did his cancer come back?
Yeah. And much like he did, he had 4 movies released after he died.
Yeah, it's always weird.
There's worked constantly.
Yeah, I mean, there's still Ray Liotta movies coming out.
Yeah, so crazy.
Yeah, it's always creepy when you see a movie like 3 years after the person passed.
Sigourney Weaver was cast as Ripley, the warrant officer aboard the Nostromo, technically third in charge.
Yeah, Ripley.
Meryl Streep was considered for the role, but she was not contacted as her partner, John Cazale, had recently died.
She would have been great, but she doesn't have... There is a quality that Sigourney Weaver possesses that is unlike any other quality that I've seen in another actor.
Yeah.
Where she has a power and a gravitas to her that I believe everything in these Alien movies, even Alien 4 when she's the clone. It's still a badass performance. Yeah. She just is so good at being awesome. I don't know how to explain it.
When she says she's going to do something, she does it.
Yeah.
Like, you just know she's so determined and just like you just feel that emanating off of her.
And she embodies her characters in such a way. She's not somebody who seems to lose themselves in the role, whereas, with makeup and all sorts of garbage. But if you look at this role versus Ghostbusters versus Gorillas in the Mist, all completely different performances, but all completely grounded and just solid from beginning to end. She is a solid.
Yeah, she's amazing. Yeah. Absolutely amazing.
Very underrated, I think.
I agree.
I think because also this performance too.
Yeah.
The performance in Alien is amazing. She is not a milquetoast. She is has absolutely no she doesn't have any sort of compunctions about giving her opinion.
Yeah.
And she spars with Ash.
Yeah. Oh, that whole scene where it's like you don't even really see her much because they're focused on Ash the whole time. But like she sits down and it's just like, yeah, I gave you an order.
Yeah.
Why didn't you follow it?
I didn't think I had to.
And you can hear it in her voice that she doesn't have the actual authority to like punish him for that.
But she knows.
But she's like, what the hell?
And she's letting him know. She's putting him on notice.
Yeah.
I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I don't trust you.
Yeah, exactly.
Ash.
Yeah.
Ashhole.
God, and then that scene where she's trying to talk to Mother and then suddenly he's just right there.
Oh, God.
It's so creepy.
But it's just such a great performance. And kudos, too, to Ridley Scott for creating an environment that is not... It is futuristic in the way that they're all equals. Not equals in terms... Because one of the things I love about the script so much is Yaphet Kotto and Harry Dean Stanton just being butthurt about their shares.
We want more money.
And the money. And it is so realistic.
Yeah.
It is so realistic, that is. Well, we're not doing it until we get some more money. And then, she's like, you're going to get a share, you idiots.
Yeah, you're getting paid,
you do
man.
It. And just the whole... It's got that Stephen King... I know I always bring this up. But it definitely has that Stephen King vibe, that aspect where we really get a good half hour, maybe 40 minutes of getting to know these characters before we destroy them.
Yeah.
And they're all very interesting, and they're all very true to life, and I believe them all as a bunch of blue-collar space workers.
Yeah.
And these poor guys, I felt for Harry Dean and Yaphet. I mean, they have to keep that thing running with bubble gum and and fishing wire.
A lot of bubble gum in Yaphet Kotto's case.
And my favorite part is one of my favorite parts is Harry Dean, Parker, and Kane. They're down there and they're talking to Ripley, and they're like, "We need the money," and then. And there's all this steam coming, and it looks like things are falling apart. And I go, "We're gonna get this together. We're really gonna have to get more, blah blah blah." And then as soon as she leaves, it just turns off the steam. And it's like, all right, I guess that didn't work. And it's just you really get to know and like these guys because the actors are so good.
Yeah.
They picked a great group of 7 actors that are A, great character actors.
Yeah.
And B, just they built. I know that he gave them backstory and everything, but they just really built. You don't see so well-rounded characters usually in this kind of movie.
No.
It's usually just fodder.
Right.
Especially back then. It was just hot girl, fat guy. You didn't even have any
alien,
names.
And
it
then
was just
the
victims. These superfluous. And usually you'd have a couple of guys that were jerks, so you were glad that they got killed.
Right.
And it's just Scott and the writers completely ignored all of those silly tropes and made just such an engaging... Even without the alien, it would have been an incredibly engaging film.
Yeah. Weaver, who had Broadway experience but was relatively unknown in film, impressed Scott, Geiler, and Hill with her audition. She was the last actor to be cast for the film and performed most of her screen tests in studio as the sets were being built.
Yeah, I might help too.
I'm sure it did. The role of Ripley was Weaver's first leading role in a motion picture. She had a brief role in Woody Allen's Annie Hall, which was supposed to be a bigger part but was committed to a stage performance, so she got cut down.
She was just a little too old.
Yeah. Weaver would go on to star in Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, Gorillas in the Mist, Working Girl, Dave, Galaxy Quest, and 3 of the Alien sequels, amongst many others.
Yeah, let's go through these again. Like I was saying.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Working Girl 2. She is
so
so good in that, playing so hateable but yet likable.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't... That's the thing, is you can't completely hate... She's one of those people. You can't completely hate her. Even though she's awful... to Melanie Griffith, and we know that Harrison Ford doesn't deserve that. But but such a great performance, and then the opposite of that, Dave, which is such a layered performance. I just think of the pitch to her. Okay, all right, so you're the first lady, but your husband's a jerk, the president, and he has let's say a stroke, and he goes into a coma. So they find a guy that looks just like your husband. But he's not a jerk. So you fall in love with him. And then and she's like, well, okay, I'll make it work because I'm a genius.
This, again, she's so clever because in that movie, she catches on so quickly that it's not her husband.
Yes.
And, it's so believable. She figured that out.
Even in Galaxy Quest, where she plays the bimbo, and I'm putting my quoties up for that, she still imbues that character with a sense of intelligence and a sense of... integrity that transcends. She always transcends the parts that she could play, and a lot of these parts, whether it's Ghostbusters, Working Girl, Dave, or Galaxy Quest, they could have all been very stereotypical.
Right.
But there's nothing ever stereotypical about her performance. She's one of the masters. I put her up there with Streep.
Oh yeah,
and I think because she was involved in a lot more really. Quoties, popular films.
Genre stuff.
Yeah. I don't think... And remarkable in them. And to be remarkable in genre films is a no discount to any other actor.
Sure.
But it is not as easy as being in, let's say, Sophie's Choice.
Yeah,
where that's an Oscar bait movie there.
And that's the thing is, I think because she was in these early genre movies, like when her career was first taking off, that I think that the reason she wasn't nominated for a lot of other things was because people were like, oh yeah, she's the genre person,
right?
And it's like, no, she's bigger than that.
But she tried so many different little films and really pushed the boundaries of her skills and her talents, and never just relied on the fact that she's a franchise queen. You know? That was just something that she did.
Yeah, she enjoyed it. She really enjoyed working on these movies.
Because look, Ripley is one of the greatest characters, female characters definitely, written. Ripley is strong and defiant and does the right thing and is a true hero, especially in Aliens. I mean, that's when the character really comes to life and you see who she is. But in this, I mean, running around with the cat and the flamethrower. That poor cat, man. You gotta learn how to carry a cat carrier, lady.
Yeah. The best was as she gets into the like shuttle to leave, she just kind of tosses it in. It's
rolling it around.
Oh, that poor cat.
I wish when they opened it up, the cat kind of did a couple of circles and fell over. I was like, whoa. But I love her so much, and I really think that she's had an amazing career and everything, but I think that she doesn't get as much respect as some of the, like the Meryl Streeps, or the Dame Judi Dench's.
Yeah, I agree.
But she deserves all the accolades, and she's just one of our greatest actors.
For the second installment of Alien, Weaver won the Saturn Award for Best Actress and earned nominations for the Academy Award for Best Actress and the Golden Globe Award for Best Actress.
And she should have. It's such a demanding role. I mean, it's not only mentally taxing, it's physically taxing. And to make it believable, there's so many moving parts. It just bothers me sometimes that these great performances get overlooked because they're in
I know. Well, that's just now. I mean, if Aliens were to come out now, nobody would get nominated for any Oscars. There's no way.
Just visual effects and maybe costumes or set design.
She also earned 2 Academy Award nominations for Gorillas in the Mist and Working Girl simultaneously for Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress.
That was a good year for her.
Yeah. These roles also won her 2 Golden Globe Awards. Weaver was last in the Avatar sequel, The Way of Water, which will be seen in the upcoming Avatar 3rd and 4th movies, releasing in 2025 and 2029, respectively.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, no, they're happening.
I know they're happening, but we'll see if they come out in 25 and 29.
No, I think they will, because the 3rd movie's technically shot already.
All right.
Yeah.
I just know that Mr.
I know.
on his own time and on his own terms.
Because the 2nd movie made so much money, they were like, yeah, we're going to go ahead.
I am so baffled. I am baffled by Avatar.
Did you watch the 2nd movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't tell you what happened in either Avatar movie.
There was a lot of water in the 2nd one.
Yes, but I can't. I know, like, something happened. It was pretty. It looked good.
I know.
They're not bad movies, but it's just like empty calories.
Yeah, I know.
They're the equivalent of a bag of Doritos. At the time, man,
Oh,
I love eating those Doritos, and they taste great, but by the time the bag's gone, I can't.
I saw it in 3D in the theater, and the second we left, I was like, that was really good. I don't remember what. Oh, no, there was. See, now I'm kind of remembering.
Yeah.
It's like, but the second I left, it was just like, okay, out. It's the epitome of a popcorn movie.
It's just nuts. And now they have the new game out, which looks really fun.
It's apparently a really good mid-level. Like, apparently people are like,
looks
really pretty.
I'm going to love it because I love Far Cry games, and it's basically just Far Cry on Pandora.
I'm excited for when it comes to the PlayStation free games sometime next year.
I'd spend $20 on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it looks good.
Well, you got it for Christmas, dummy, so you better.
Great. Weaver can also be seen in The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart, a 7-episode miniseries on Amazon Prime.
I almost started watching
Oh, really?
That. Yeah, I did.
I totally would watch it.
I do want to see it, and I'm always curious to, there was, oh my God, I just watched her in a movie that was about, I wish I could remember the name of it, but it was about abortion. I think we talked about this on one of the shows where during, before when it was still illegal.
Oh, yeah.
She was part of this group of women that were basically learning how to give abortions.
Right.
And
so
were this underground a women's health clinic thing. And she was absolutely ridiculous how good she was in that movie.
I totally forgot she was in that.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of it at all. But
I'm so old, I don't remember anything. But just look up Sigourney Weaver and abortion, and you'll find it.
Yep. Just what are you doing, honey? Just Googling Sigourney Weaver abortion.
Just don't do it in Pornhub.
Oh God. Veronica Cartwright was cast as Lambert. The Nostromo was Navigator. Cartwright had experience in horror and science fiction films, having acted as a child in The Birds in 1963, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Literally did not realize that was her.
Yeah, I did for years. I mean, I did, but I
just watched that recently, and I had no idea it was her. It's just weird. Made the transition to adult acting in Invasion of the Body Snatchers in 1978.
So great.
Yeah. She originally read for the role of Ripley and was not informed that she had instead been cast as Lambert until she arrived in London for wardrobe.
All right, that's chicken ass there.
That's mean. That's just mean. She disliked the character's emotional weakness, but nevertheless accepted the role.
They convinced me that I was the audience's fears. I was a reflection of what the audience is feeling.
Cartwright won a Saturn Award for Best Supporting Actress for her performance. She additionally appeared in the films The Right Stuff and The Witches of Eastwick, which earned her praise. In the 1990s, she received 3 nominations for the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Guest Actress in a Drama Series, 1 for her role on ER, and 2 for her role in The X-Files.
She was amazing. Her performance in The Witches of Eastwick,
Yeah.
That's her definitive. That shows you just how great she is.
Oh, yeah.
She played this woman, and she was right. It's one of those characters that she was basically the prototypical Karen, if you want, for lack of a better explanation. But the poor lady was so right about everything, and then just got tortured.
This is why she would have been good for Ripley too.
She is another great actor who always gives a solid performance, and again, I think she's a bit underrated.
Yeah.
A lot underrated.
A lot
Let's be
underrated,
honest, because she's never given a bad performance, but she's so good that she just kind of melts into a movie.
Yeah. And
she's just part of what makes it great without, except for maybe The Witches of Eastwick, not forcing people to pay attention to her.
Forcing attention, yeah.
But that character was just so good that you couldn't help it. And still, she always plays, she's just a team player, and her performance in Alien is unreal. The fear that we see from her, especially when she's you're just like, move, God damn it.
Yeah.
Because Yaphet Kotto's like, move.
I can kill it.
But you can understand the absolute fear, the paralyzing fear of seeing something that your brain, first of all, is like, what is that?
This shouldn't exist.
It's still trying to make sense of this horror show in front of you. And it works. A lot of times, you're like, come on, you stupid lady, blah, blah, blah. But with this, it's just, she earned the death. She earned that.
Yeah.
And again, just so good. And not a weak character, but a person.
She's real. She's very real.
Most of us would probably react the way she did.
The only difference is I would be pooping my pants at the same time.
Exactly. I mean, she's sad about her friends. She's worried about everything going on. She wants to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
And that's the rest of us.
That was, she immediately was like, let's just go. We're going to go home.
And when she's on the radio watching the boop, boop,
boop,
tracking Scarrett, Dallas.
Yeah.
And the alien, she's like, you gotta get out of there. It's almost there. It's almost there. It's just, you feel.
She's so concerned. She really, she loves her crewmates and is like, this is going to be awful.
And she took the note of being the audience surrogate to heart and really became that.
Yeah.
And an amazing performance. I'm really glad she's still working.
She continues to work mostly in TV, most recently appearing in Gotham Knights, the CW show that was canceled a couple months after its premiere.
Never saw it.
Yeah, well, apparently nobody did either. So
it's on Max.
Yeah. Yaphet Kotto was cast as Parker, the chief engineer. Kotto was sent a script off the back of his recent success as villain Dr. Kananga, thank you. Villain Dr. Kananga in the James Bond film Live and Let Die in 1973, and said he rejected a lucrative film offer in the hope of being cast in Alien.
Yeah, because it's such a cool script.
Yeah. Kotto would go on to appear in The Running Man in 1987 and Midnight Run in 1988.
He's so good in Midnight Run. So good. I mean, he's good in everything, but Midnight Run...
he's so good.
God, God, he just gets effed with so much.
He actually retired from film acting in the mid-'90s, but came back for a final film role in 2008 in Witness Protection, the action comedy starring Larry the Cable Guy.
I think he could not have. He's like, working with Larry the Cable Guy? I'm out of retirement.
How do I pass that up?
He's the greatest actor of our generation.
He would continue to appear on TV despite his retirement from film acting, most notably appearing in Homicide: Life on the Street for all 7 seasons, and the TV movie as a proud black Sicilian, a character that had never appeared on television before.
That show, if you have not seen that show, it is one of the best crime shows ever. I'm starting a rewatch. I'm going to start a rewatch in honor of I was going to say Kenneth Branagh, Andre Braugher.
Yeah.
Because he was, man.
Yeah.
If you like Andre Braugher, you see him as this whip skinny, menthol hundreds, cigarette smoking, just firebrand. Now, the main thing of Homicide was the box where they would interrogate the guys.
Right.
And Pembleton, that was his name.
Yeah.
Detective Pembleton. When Pembleton got a perp in the box, it was magic. I, from that show, fell in love with Brower, Cotto. I can't wait to rewatch that. And Yaphet Kotto is he had the accent too. He's like a proud Sicilian. You know, what are you talking about, huh? And
fascinating,
amazing, and such a good. That's where Munch started.
Oh yeah.
You know, what's his name? The comedian Belzer, Richard Belzer's Munch. The cop that appeared on like 15 different shows, including
Law and
The
Order
Simpsons.
and all those. Yeah. The
Arrested Development.
most traveled fictional character ever. Yeah.
And was on Law and Order SVU for tons
Forever.
of years.
Yeah.
As Munch.
But he started in Homicide. Yeah. I need it. I've never seen it. I need to watch it.
We have him. I think
Yeah.
I have most of the seasons.
I think you have like 5 of them or something. But yeah, definitely need to watch those. Cotto moved with his third wife to the Philippines, and he passed away in March of 2021 at the age of 81.
No.
He went. I didn't put any of this in, but he went a little downhill. Barely took the black Sicilian to heart because he became a huge Trump supporter.
No.
And he literally had like a conservative radio show that he did from the Philippines. Yeah.
Well,
it was a little weird.
People, when they get old and they start facing death or whatever, some people change. Like, either people get more conservative or more. Okay. I'm also going to put this out there. If you are in the Hollywood terrarium, let's say,
Yeah.
you're not living in the real world. You have no concept of what it is to be a normal human being. And once you lose all of that fame and love and recognition and money that you got, because not everybody's career lasts a lifetime.
Yeah.
A lot of people get bitter.
Yeah. Harry Dean Stanton was cast as Brett, the engineering technician. Stanton's first words to Scott during his audition were,
I don't like sci-fi or monster movies.
Scott was amused and convinced Stanton to take the role after reassuring him that Alien would actually be a thriller more akin to 10 Little Indians.
Why didn't you cast? I've cast you.
I don't like it.
Stanton's first credited role was in Tomahawk Trail in 1957, starring Chuck Connors.
Oh, he did a lot of westerns.
Oh, yeah. He was credited as Dean Stanton in that movie and for another 12 years. His first role credited as Harry Dean Stanton was in the Miniskirt Mob about a gang of lady motorcyclists.
Such a great movie. If you no, I haven't seen it.
It's a Miniskirt Mob. He would also be credited as H.D. Stanton a couple of times. In a career that spanned more than 6 decades, Stanton played supporting roles in films including
Cool Hand Luke, Kelly's Heroes, Dillinger, The Godfather Part 2, Escape from New York, Christine, Repo Man, One Magic Christmas, Pretty in Pink, The Last Temptation of Christ, Wild at Heart, The Straight Story, The Green Mile, The Man Who Cried, Alpha Dog, and Inland Empire.
He had rare lead roles in Paris, Texas in 1984 and in Lucky in 2017.
Have you seen Paris, Texas?
No.
It's such a great movie.
Yeah. I've heard lots about it. It was one of those I should have watched when I was in college and I never did.
Well, you can still watch it.
No, it's
Too
gone
late?
now. Yeah.
Okay.
He appeared in a ton of TV shows, mostly in supporting parts, until he played a main role in 37 episodes of Big Love, starting in 2006.
Yeah.
His last role was in Frank and Ava in 2017, a biopic about Frank Sinatra and Ava Gardner. He died at age 91 on September 15th, 2017, from heart failure.
Now, for me, Harry Dean Stanton will always be a fixture at the Oyster Bar. And when I was in the 90s, we would go to the Oyster Bar, tiny little place. And every Sunday night, that MFer would get about as drunk as any human being could and sing. And we would go religiously. We would go anytime he was playing, and we would go listen to him, because the drunker he got, the more passionate he got. And he was a good singer.
Yeah.
But my God, the pathos that man, this 80, 70-year-old man, I don't know, he was old then.
Yeah.
And it was just, and by the end, he could barely stand up.
Right.
You know, but it was just.
I'm really sad that I missed that.
My
I would
God.
have loved to have
It
seen
was
that.
my favorite thing, was seeing him. And he was like, from me to you.
Yeah.
That's where I was sitting.
Wow.
And he would sing to you, and he would talk to you, and it would be it was like the closest thing to like hanging out in a living room with Harry Dean Stanton and watching him get drunk and sing. It was
That's
beautiful.
awesome.
Beautiful.
That's so
and
awesome.
and never like problematic drunk or whatever.
Yeah,
Nothing untoward about it. Just the man needed his sauce to get them pipes lubricated.
Ian Holm was cast as Ash, the ship's science officer, who is later revealed to be, spoiler, an android.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Holm was a character actor who by 1979 had already been in 20 films. Most of the movies he appeared in were period pieces that highlighted Holm's Royal Shakespearean training.
Yeah, he's got that little Shakespeare twinkle.
He totally does. Holm won the 1967 Tony Award for Best Featured Actor for his performance as Lenny in the Harold Pinter play The Homecoming.
I'm coming home.
He won the Laurence Olivier Award for Best Actor for his performance in the title role in the 1998 West End production of King Lear.
I'm King Lear.
For his television roles, he received 2 Primetime Emmy Award nominations for King Lear in 1998 and the HBO film The Last of the Blonde Bombshells in 2003.
I'm the last of the blonde bombshells.
He gained acclaim for his role in The Bofors Gun in 1968, his debut feature, winning the BAFTA Award for Best Actor in a Supporting Role.
Really dumb name. The Bofors gun?
I'm pretty sure it was a World War II movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does Bofors mean? Is
don't
that an
know.
actual gun?
Yeah, it was a big gun, like some big gun they were trying to make.
Well, they should have named it something other than Bofors.
He was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor and won a second BAFTA Award for his role as athletics trainer Sam Musabini in Chariots of Fire in 1981.
Hey, I'm Sam Musabini. I'm going to teach you how to run on the beach. You know what I didn't know? Because I was watching when I went home to visit my folks, and we watched some of The Crown, which I hadn't seen. Did you know that Dodi Fayed and his father were the producers for Chariots of Fire?
Oh, no, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Oh, wow. Okay.
It's really interesting. That whole aspect of The Crown is super interesting. Look, weirdly enough, I could not give less of an S about anything to do with the royal family. Like, they're a bunch of imperialist a-holes, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But this show is great.
I know. It's done really well.
It's so captivating.
It's done really well.
I love shows that take something that I could not care less about and make me interested in it.
Right. Yeah, it's a good show.
Way to go, Sneaks.
Other notable films he appeared in include
Brazil, Henry V. Just kidding, Henry V. Brazil, Henry V, Naked Lunch, The Madness of King George, The Fifth Element, The Sweet Hereafter, and The Aviator.
The funny thing is that I know him most from, I saw The Sweet Hereafter in college.
Yeah.
And that is when I first realized who Ian Holm was.
Oh my God, that is such a heart-wrenching. That's the one about the bus crash in the aftermath.
It is he's so good in it, and it is so intense and so, yeah.
Naked Lunch is another great. I love. I had a period like most people in college where I was really into William Burroughs.
Yeah.
And I read everything. Tried to read everything. There's one of his books that is just a heroin ramble that there is absolutely no way to make any sense of it. But Naked Lunch was such a great adaptation of an unadaptable book.
Right.
Peter Weller was amazing, and Ian Holm almost steals the show.
Yeah.
It's so good. Same thing with Madness of King George. That's another movie where I didn't think I could give less of an S.
Yeah.
But then watching it,
Hey,
he
this
pee
is actually
blue. His pee was blue, and it made him mad at him. It was poisoning. It was probably lead poisoning.
Ian Holm gained wider appreciation for his roles, the elderly Bilbo Baggins in Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogies.
The thing about that is it made him so cuddly. Like the Hobbit, I don't know. Like, he's such a great actor, and his roles in Brazil and Henry V, Naked Lunch, Madness of King George, they're just very complex and very, even Fifth Element, which is such a fun.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite role of his because it just seems like he's having a blast doing it.
Yeah.
But it's just, and not that I didn't dislike the Hobbit movies; they were fine. But it's just he seems like they made him into such a cuddly little guy.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite part about that was when the moment he gets to quote unquote act is when he wants to get the ring back, and it's just like the intensity is just so strong. It just shows how good of an actor he is.
The man is amazing. All these guys that come from the real Shakespeare theater, they always. But some of them, and I'm looking at you, Kenneth Branagh. Some of them just can't shake the theater. In their performances, and it is detrimental to film to have that theater aura about you.
Right.
And he's one of the guys that is definitely theater and film and TV, and it's none of the two are the same.
He knows what he's doing.
Knows his craft like nobody else.
He also voiced Chef Skinner in the Pixar animated film Ratatouille.
Oh yeah,
yeah. His final film role was in The Hobbit: The Battle of the Five Armies in 2014. Around that time, Holm had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And unfortunately, he died in hospital in London on June 19th, 2020 at the age of 88.
Well, that's a good run, but still.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely could have used more Ian Holm, but he's great. Any movie you see him in, he makes the movie better.
Of course.
Yeah. Balaji Badejo as the alien. Badejo, as a 26-year-old design student, was discovered in a bar by a member of the casting team who put him in touch with Scott.
Hey, you're tall. Excuse me. Okay, we're making a movie about an alien that comes and gets you, okay? And he gets his chest burst into your chest. You're the guy. I'm going to introduce you. You're the guy. I'm going to get you in the movies. Okay, sure thing, pal. Maybe you've had a bit too much.
Badejo was from Lagos, Nigeria, the son of the director general of the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation.
Nice.
Scott believed that Badejo, at 6 feet 10 inches, 7 feet inside the costume, and with a slender frame, could portray the alien and look as if his arms and legs were too long to be real, creating the illusion that a human being could not possibly be inside the costume.
Okay. But still, I mean, he was extremely intimidating, and he moved really well in that costume, especially in the end when he comes out, when you like, he's taking a little nap.
Yeah, you see him sleeping. He's just taking a little winky nap. He was described as mild-mannered and withdrawn on set, and special effects supervisor Nick Alder said,
"To have been the center of attraction, it was a bit of a shock to him."
Stuntman Eddie Powell and Roy Scammell also portrayed the alien in some scenes. After the success of Alien, Badejo was offered roles for future installments. However, he turned them all down and moved back to Nigeria in 1980.
Yeah, I mean, it's no fun being in the suit.
Yeah. This led to the later sequels incorporating more puppetry and animation alongside several suit performers. Alien is his only film credit. After his return to Nigeria, Badejo began running his own art gallery in 1983. Unfortunately, he died from sickle cell disease at the age of 39 in 1992.
Good Lord, that's way too young.
Awful.
It's horrible.
Helen Horton was cast as the voice of Mother, the Nostromo's computer. Horton was born in Chicago and went to Northwestern, where she met and became lifelong friends with Patricia Neal, who would star in The Day the Earth Stood Still in 1951.
Great actor, Patricia Neal.
Yeah. The only notable film that she did before Alien was Phase 4 in 1974, the science fiction horror film that was also the only film from noted graphic artist Saul Bass had ever directed.
Yeah, there's a reason.
It's funny, I put this, I think it's on something, and I want to watch it because it looks so bizarre.
Oh, yeah.
But I love Saul Bass so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you should watch Phase 3 then. It's a little bit better.
After Alien, she was in Superman 3 in 1983 and The Razor's Edge in 1984. Sadly, she died in 2007 at the age of 83.
Good run, but that's still too young.
To assist the actors in preparing for the roles, Scott wrote several pages of backstory for each character explaining their histories.
Totally helped because it rounded out these people. There were people we were watching, not characters.
He filmed many of the rehearsals to capture spontaneity and improvisation and tensions between some of the cast members, particularly towards the less experienced Weaver.
Ooh.
This translated convincingly to film as tension between the characters. Roger Ebert notes that the actors in Alien were older than was typical in thriller films at the time, which helped make the characters more convincing.
None of them were particularly young. Tom Skerritt, the captain, was 46. Hurt was 39, but looked older. Holm was 48. Harry Dean Stanton was 53. Yvette Koto was 42. And only Veronica Cartwright, 30, and Weaver at 28 were in the range of the usual thriller cast. Many recent action pictures have improbably young actors cast in key roles or sidekicks, but by skewing older, Alien achieves a certain texture without even making a point of it. These are not adventurers, but workers hired by a company to return 20 million tons of ore to Earth.
I can't believe that John Hurt was only 39.
Yeah, he looked
God,
rough.
he looked like he was in his 50s.
I think he was a drinker.
God.
I don't know. I don't know if he was.
But
he
that's just crazy.
He just had bad skin.
Yeah, that's true. Alien was filmed over 14 weeks from July 5th to October 21st, 1978 at Shepperton Studios near London. The production schedule was short due to the film's low budget and pressure from 20th Century Fox to finish on time. O'Bannon introduced Scott to the artwork of H.R. Geiger. Both of them felt that his painting Necronom 4 was the type of representation they wanted for the film's antagonist and began asking the studio to hire him as a designer.
Yeah, his artwork is disturbing.
It's
awesome.
It's so good.
But it's
so weird.
And it has, like we said, it's his creatures and his designs. Every video game, every sci-fi movie, everything, that, whether it's Alien or if it didn't Geiger do didn't he do Species as well?
That's possible.
If he didn't, it looks exactly like it.
Then they ripped him off.
Yeah, so I mean, either it's a Geiger or Geiger ripoff.
Yeah.
Especially everything in the 80s and 90s.
Oh, yeah. Fox initially believed Geiger's work was too ghastly for audiences, but the Brandywine team were persistent and eventually won out. Scott loved Geiger's work and realized that a huge part of figuring out the movie had been solved.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so easy. It's like, well, I don't know what to do with this. Oh, hey, this painting is literally the art style I want.
But the alien is so important.
Yeah.
It's the title creature. It's an alien. But if the alien, look no further than the stupid alien baby from, what was it, Alien 4?
Yeah.
That alien was so ridiculous looking that there was
know.
nothing to fear of it. And otherwise a good movie, directors that I love.
I know. All four of them. I love all
Every
of them
one of
so
them,
much.
yes. And I, even though I know that he hates it, I still think Alien 3 is one of the most underrated and great sci-fi movies there is. The franchise just so... I would have loved to see Fincher's actual vision of that.
Right.
There is a great, just quickly, if you got a few extra bucks, pick up the Alien Quadrology on DVD. You could probably pick it up used. They probably have it on Blu-ray now.
I think they have one with the other two movies too, yeah.
But they come with so many great features, and one of the best parts is you get the director's cuts of all of these movies.
Right.
And it's rough because it's a lot of animatics, which are...
Yeah, unfinished stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Animatics are kind of an animated storyboard.
Sketches,
That gives representation of what's going on, and is kind of a guide for the special effects crew. But you get to see as close to the visions of these directors, and it's definitely, even though it's a little rough, it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah.
I just think without the alien and the extra mouth and the steel teeth,
weird,
and the shape of the head, it really seemed like it could be a real alien to me.
Yeah.
More so, you always see the big gray-headed, big almond-eyed aliens with the tiny little mouths.
The grays, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or you see some sort of dinosaur hybrid thing.
Right.
Or it's just something silly or reductive or that just easy. This was the first time that it really seemed like this could be a creature that lived in space.
Yeah,
and the fact that it had acid for blood, and the fact that...
Well, it really couldn't be killed.
Exactly,
I mean, it was,
without killing you. It's the most frightening monster ever.
It was the peak of evolution as a killing machine.
Yes, exactly. And that's what it was. It was, if we're to believe the future installments, it was designed as a planet exterminator.
Yeah.
And it makes so much sense. The fact that its blood is acid, that even if you try to kill it, it will kill you.
Right.
It's an amazing creature and one of the greatest scary villains of all time.
Oh, yeah. A crew of over 200 craftspeople and technicians constructed the three principal sets, the surface of the alien planetoid and the interiors of the Nostromo and the derelict spacecraft.
You know what I kept thinking? every time they went into the mother chamber,
Yeah.
I just kept thinking, those poor sons of bitches that had to screw all of those little lights in for that set.
The first shot of it, I was like, really? Are all those lights necessary? And then on close-ups, they were all labeled.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, man.
I don't have the patience to be a set builder, I think, because it would just be, really? 560 lights? Working lights.
Yeah.
They need, and labeled.
And they have to blink?
And
Random patterns?
you need them by tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Well, the cocaine budget just went up. It's 1978.
All of the visuals shown on the computer screens on Nostromo's bridge are computer-generated imagery.
And were state of the art.
Yeah.
Because there was color, there was 3D,
They used CGI because it was easier than any alternative. For scenes showing the exterior of the Nostromo, a 58-foot landing leg was constructed to give the sense of the ship's size.
58 feet, man.
It's huge. Scott was not convinced that it looked large enough, so he had his 2 young sons and the son of Derek Van Lint, the film's cinematographer, stand in for the regular actors, wearing smaller spacesuits to make the set pieces seem even larger.
Get your kids in there.
They just came to...
I don't care if they just came to visit. Putting children in there. Jam them in those little suits.
Get a tiny suit and put them in it. The same technique was used for the scene in which the crew members encountered the dead alien creature in the derelict spacecraft. The children nearly collapsed due to the heat of the suits.
Dad, you can't breathe. It's so hot in here.
Shut up. I'll get you a toy on the way home if you don't die.
Oxygen systems were eventually added to help the actors breathe.
Fine. Give them little bastards oxygen, you crybabies. Quit crying, crybaby.
4 identical cats were used to portray Jones, the crew's pet.
Nice.
During filming, Sigourney Weaver discovered that she was allergic to the combination of cat hair and the glycerin placed on the actor's skin to make them appear sweaty.
Ugh.
By removing the glycerin, she was able to continue working with the cats. She literally, it happened like 2 weeks into production, and she was like, I'm allergic to this cat, you have to recast me. And they figured out what it was, and she was able to stay on. But it was just like... Can you imagine? It's your first major film role, and you're like, goddamn cat's gonna do me in. Yeah. It was mostly the glycerin so I think it's why she's less sweaty than most of the other characters.
Well, less sweaty when she's with the cat.
Yeah. Alien originally was to conclude with the destruction of the Nostromo while Ripley escapes in the shuttle Narcissus. However, Scott conceived of a 4th act to the film in which the alien appears on the shuttle and Ripley is forced to confront it.
Such a good twist, too.
Yeah.
And great reveal.
The fact that it's just there sleeping.
Such a great reveal. Where are we going? What happened?
You can sit the whole time she's punching buttons. It's there.
Yeah.
You can see it.
Yeah.
It's just hanging out. He pitched the idea to 20th Century Fox and negotiated an increase in the budget to film the scene over several extra days. Scott had wanted the alien to bite off Ripley's head and then make the final log entry in her voice, but the producers vetoed this idea because they believed the alien should die at the end of the film.
That would have been the greatest ending.
It would have been so bizarre.
It would have. I'm glad it didn't happen because we need Ripley as the star of the franchise.
Yeah.
But if it was a one-off, that would have been so great and so creepy and so 70s too, by the way, because it was a very dystopian ending time. I mean, look at the ending of The Thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, even the Soylent Green, all these. I mean, it was. Yeah. I just also love the idea of suddenly the alien talking in her voice.
Yes.
And it's like, oh my God, it can do that too.
It would have been just so creepy. It would have been amazing.
Yeah. For the filming of the chestburster scene, the cast members knew that the creature would be bursting out of Hurt and had seen the chestburster puppet, but they had not been told that fake blood would also be bursting out in every direction from high pressure pumps and squibs.
Yeah. Brilliant move too, because the reaction of the first pop, where you just see the blood, the way that the cast reacts to that is perfect.
Yeah. The scene was shot in one take using an artificial torso filled with blood and viscera with Hurt's head and arms coming up from underneath the table. The chestburster was shoved up through the torso by a puppeteer who held it on a stick. When the creature burst through the chest, a stream of blood shot directly at Cartwright, shocking her enough that she fell over and went into hysterics. According to Tom Skerritt,
what you saw on camera was the real response. She had no idea what the hell happened. All of a sudden, this thing just came up.
It was originally that the bit where the blood comes up, that was technically they did it twice.
Yeah.
And the first time it didn't work. And that's that bit you see with the blood. And then they did it again, and that's when they just shot geysers of blood at her.
And it pops out and goes,
so great.
Hello, my honey. Hello, my baby.
every
Hello,
time.
my
Girl.
girl.
Yeah. Which John Hurt, I love the fact that he did that again for Spaceballs.
I love him.
Editing and post-production work on Alien took roughly 20 weeks to complete, concluding in late January 1979. Terry Rawlings served as editor, having previously worked with Scott on editing sound for The Duelists. Scott and Rawlings edited much of the film to have a slow pace to build suspense for the more tense and frightening moments. According to Rawlings,
I think the way we did it right was by keeping it slow. Funny enough, which is completely different from the way they do it today. And I think the slowness of it made the moments that you wanted people to be sort of scared, then we could go as fast as we liked because you suck people into a corner and then attack them, so to speak. And that's how it worked.
The first cut of the film was over 3 hours long. Further editing trimmed the final version to just under 2 hours.
I'd like to see that cut.
I would too. I feel like that would probably be too long.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The musical score for Alien was composed by Jerry Goldsmith, conducted by Lionel Newman, and performed by the National Philharmonic Orchestra. Goldsmith wanted to create a sense of romanticism and lyrical mystery in the film's opening scenes, which would build throughout the film to suspense and fear. Scott did not like Goldsmith's original main title piece, however, so Goldsmith rewrote it as
The Obvious Thing, Weird and Strange, and which everybody loved.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to go with the obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah. The film had no formal premiere, yet moviegoers lined up for blocks to see it at Grauman's Egyptian Chinese Theater in Hollywood, where a number of models, sets, and props were displayed outside to promote it during its first run. Vandals set fire to the model of the space jockey, believing it to be the work of the devil.
Well, it was, Adam. The devil actually was credited as creating the space jockey.
Space jockey. The film was a commercial success, opening in 90 theaters across the United States plus one in Canada, setting 51 house records and grossing over $3.5 million over the 4-day Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, yeah.
It ended up grossing around $184 million worldwide from an $11 million budget.
It was a juggernaut. It was so... People were just clamoring for something like this, too. And it delivered. And I remember people talking about it and being so scared as a little boy.
I would have wanted to have seen it multiple times. Like I would like to go in the theater and see it multiple times. Like, Despite this apparent box office success, 20th Century Fox claimed that in the 11 months since its release, Alien had lost the studio $2 million.
You know...
Seen as an example of Hollywood creative accounting used by Fox to disguise the film revenue and limit any payments to Brandywine, the claim was decried by industry accountants, and by August 1980, Fox readjusted the figure to $4 million profit, although this was also refuted.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, it's Bob, the executive. I got my start as an accountant, and my job back then was to make sure that nothing made any money. And on the books...
Well, but it did make money.
Did it?
It made $184 million.
Did it?
If the budget was only $11 million,
well,
how did it lose $2 million?
Oh, well, you're obviously not an accountant, Adam.
I mean, that's true. I'm not an accountant.
I don't want to be condescending, but...
Too late.
I know math. And the truth is, just like there's algebra and different types of math, there's studio math, Adam.
Yeah.
I don't think you're very well versed in it.
Yeah, creative accounting.
Well, yeah, I guess, but I was always able to find a loss. I was the one that said that Star Wars lost $400 million.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Good job.
Nobody believed me.
I think I just saw your kid hop onto a garbage truck. You should probably go chase him down.
No, he's 8. Time for him to get a job. Anyway, happy holidays.
Okay.
You see what I did there?
Yep. Eager to begin work on a sequel, Brandywine sued Fox over their profit distribution tactics, but Fox claimed that Alien was not a financial success and did not warrant a sequel.
Yeah. I also made sure about that.
It literally almost made $200 million. And somehow they're like, no, we don't want to do that again.
That didn't happen.
The lawsuit was settled in 1983 when Fox agreed to fund an Alien 2.
Fine, we'll do it.
Critical reaction to the film was initially mixed. Some critics who were not usually favorable towards science fiction, such as Barry Norman of the BBC's film series, were positive about the film's merits. In their original review on sneak previews, critics Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert gave the film 2 yes votes.
That was before their thumbs up.
That is true. Ebert called it
one of the scariest old-fashioned space operas I can remember.
Siskel agreed that it was scary, but said it was basically a
haunted house film set in a spaceship and was not the greatest science fiction film ever made.
He still gave it 3 out of 4 stars in his print review.
He's such a douche. I am sorry, but he's so... he's just a petty little...
I know.
But, He was good at what he did.
And yeah.
Like I said, I have a very love-hate relationship. I loved them as a kid. I watched at the movies. I went from PBS to when they were syndicated. But I was always more of a fan of Ebert because he genuinely seemed to love movies, while Siskel seemed just a little butthurt that he wasn't making them.
Yeah. Alien won the 1980 Academy Award for Best Visual Effects and was also nominated for Best Art Direction, losing to All That Jazz.
All That Jazz with Roy Scheider.
Yeah. Do you think it should have lost to All That Jazz?
All That Jazz is a bad movie.
But it was art direction.
Yeah.
If there's not a movie that screams art direction more than Alien, I don't know what does.
Well, look, man. More Academy members were fans of musicals than science fiction back then. Even now.
The success of Alien led 20th Century Fox to finance 3 direct sequels over the next 18 years, each by different writers and directors.
Oh, yeah. And some great ones, too.
Yeah. Sigourney Weaver remained the only recurring actor through all 4 films. The story of her character Ripley's encounters with the aliens became the thematic and narrative core of the series.
Yeah. The only other character to appear, I think, in all the other Alien movies, and even in the Alien versus Predator movies, was Lance Henriksen.
Oh, yeah. I think so.
Because they established him. He was the synth in Aliens.
Yeah.
And then they established him as the creator or the owner of the company that started
Weyland-Yutani.
Yeah. So, and then the synths were in his.
I don't remember him in the 4th movie at all.
I don't know if he was in the 4th. I know he was in the 3rd. He came in at the end of the 3rd.
Yeah.
And I know he was in 2nd. And I know he was in the first Alien versus Predator.
So. Yeah, because later, eventually, character was played by Guy Pearce.
Yeah.
In the other
as the younger version,
Prometheus and Alien Revenant or whatever the hell it's called. Yeah. James Cameron's Aliens in 1986 focused more on action and involved Ripley returning to the planetoid, accompanied by Marines to confront hordes of aliens.
They come at night mostly.
Game over, man.
Mostly.
David Fincher's Alien 3 in 1992 had nihilistic tones and found her on a prison planet battling another alien, ultimately sacrificing herself to prevent her employers from acquiring the creatures.
Oh, such a good movie.
It was a weird mashup of 2 scripts that worked, but kind of worked and kind of didn't.
It was just fascinating to me how nihilistic it was, and how the fact that it was, everything from it just negated everything from Aliens.
David Fincher was like, I have this great script. It is, or I don't think he wrote it, but it was like, I have the script that is just great religious undertones about how the alien and like all the religious things, and they go, that's great. We're gonna throw it on Prison Planet.
I still love that movie though.
Jean-Pierre Jeunet's Alien Resurrection in 1997 saw Ripley resurrected through cloning to battle more aliens even further into the future.
Yeah, and had Winona Ryder and Ron Perlman.
Yeah, and technically that was the end of. I haven't seen the other 2 in a long time, so like I don't know if they're even further. But that movie literally ends with the alien going back to Earth. So
4?
I'm pretty sure that everyone on the Earth is dead.
Oh, if we're lucky.
The success of the film series resulted in the creation of a media franchise with numerous novels, comic books, video games, toys, and other media and merchandise appearing over the years.
Oh, yeah. Alien Isolation is a great video game.
Oh, yeah, it's fantastic. A number of these began appearing under the Alien vs. Predator crossover imprint, which brought the alien creatures together with the eponymous characters of the Predator franchise.
And it's just so poorly executed.
Yeah, the comics were really good. Which is why they're very popular, which is why they made the movies. But the Alien vs. Predator in 2004 and then Alien vs. Predator Requiem in 2007 were both not good at all.
Well, I will say, I think Requiem's a fun film because Requiem leaned into the fun of it, and it was gory,
right?
And it had a decent cast, and it wasn't as pretentious and ridiculously horrible as the first one was.
I don't remember either of them.
The first one
I know
was
I've
just
seen them both.
Weird, and all I remember is the big place, and they were all wearing winter coats. I don't know, but the second one was really fun because it was the kid and his brother, and they had to deal with it. Was I'm gonna probably. I've been inspired to kind of go through them all again.
Yeah,
I'm gonna definitely go through the Aliens movies. I'm skipping Alien versus Predator, but I think I'm gonna watch Requiem.
I'm gonna try to watch all of them. I'm curious.
I can't with the first Aliens perspective.
It's
just so
know
boring.
I've only
It's
seen
just
it once.
a bad movie.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll watch it on 3 times speed
watch it.
or something.
Yeah. In July 2009, 20th Century Fox announced that John Spates had been hired to write a prequel to Alien with Scott attached to direct. The script was subsequently reworked by Scott and Damon Lindelof. It was titled Prometheus. It went into production in May 2011 and was released the following year. Variety reported on February 18th, 2015, that a new Alien film would be developed by Neil Blomkamp, who did District 9.
That looked so awesome. The concept art that he showed and his idea for it, everybody was like, yes, we're all on board. We want it.
In fact, even Sigourney Weaver was on board because she was confirmed to have a role in the film, the intent being to produce a direct sequel to Aliens, ignoring the events of later films featuring the characters of Hicks and Newt.
Yeah, they were going to bring back... Michael Biehn, and they were going to bring back Carrie Henn, I think.
As the kid.
The kid?
Yeah.
And it just looked and sounded awesome.
Blomkamp's sequel was ultimately shelved by Fox in favor of Alien Covenant, a continuation of Scott's prequel, Prometheus, which was released in 2017.
I don't remember that movie at all.
I know I've seen it, and I agree with you. I don't remember what happens.
I don't remember. Look, I think both of those movies are fairly forgettable. I remember more of Prometheus just because of the conceit.
I do want to watch both of them again just because I'm curious. I don't really remember liking either of them, but...
I remember liking Prometheus. I don't remember anything about Covenant.
Alien Covenant.
I don't remember anything.
In 2019, students at North Bergen High School in New Jersey adapted the film into a play. The production had no budget, with props and sets developed from recycled toys and other items. Social media recognition brought Scott's attention to the play. He wrote a letter of congratulations to the students, saying,
"My hat comes off to you. My hat comes off to all of you for your creativity, imagination, and determination."
And he recommended they consider an adaptation of his film Gladiator for their next stage production.
"I'll even give you the pants."
He donated to the school. He donated to the school to put on an encore performance at which Weaver actually attended.
So cool.
She got on stage before the performance to congratulate the cast and crew for the creativity and commitment.
Actually, she got up and said, "I'm
suing all of you for copyright infringement."
I just love the fact that they were like, both of them were like, "This is awesome."
Yeah.
I love the whole series. I know that the third and fourth movies are flawed. I
don't
know
care.
they have
I love
issues. I love them anyway. I love the directors. They're such good auteurs.
There are some movies that are interesting disasters.
Yeah.
Because they have good directors and good writers, but somehow things kind of go off the rails. There are some amazing moments in both of those movies. There's some really great underwater scenes. In Alien 4 of the aliens. Swimming and just some great jump scares and the character development in 3.
Yeah.
All of these. It's so hard to like anybody because even the Doctor, who's played by the guy from Game of Thrones who was the big bad. Even he, he's sort of charming and everything, but he's a murderer.
Yeah,
they're all killers, and criminals.
Yeah. They're in prison,
and they've all taken this vow of celibacy, and they've all and the fact that there's a woman there is just a threat to their existence and a threat to this almost like a monastery that they created with this belief system to keep them because there's. Everybody there is a criminal, even the people in charge.
Right.
Have some sort of...
Who's going to choose to go to a prison planet?
Poor guard, they call him like 70 or something, and they're like, "Why do you call him that?" Just because we found his IQ. And the guy's really dumb. But yeah, there's things to love about every one of the movies.
Yeah.
Of course, the first two are masterpieces.
Yeah.
Masterpieces. And, I would like to see maybe an Alien TV show.
Yeah.
A prequel TV show. Maybe something that is people stumbling upon aliens in a different situation or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or there's so much that's still able to be done with this franchise.
Yeah.
So many stories to still be told, I believe.
Yeah, I agree. Alien Isolation's great. It's kind of adjacent to the first Alien movie.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the voice actors, like Veronica Cartwright and Sigourney Weaver, do voices in it. I mean, they're not like characters, but it's like you finding pieces of information.
Sure, and isn't the protagonist Ripley's daughter?
I think so. Yeah, because I think she's going out to go find to figure out where her mom is.
Yeah. And then there's some great. There's a strategy game that just came out.
Yeah, there's a Aliens Dark Descent, I think.
Yeah, and then there's the squad-based game that we just got for free.
I think that was Aliens Dark Descent.
And then there's the one that just came out that's more of a RTS.
Oh yeah.
Where you kind of you're the guy telling them where to go. You're not actually playing as the soldiers.
But there's so much more that can be done with this. I don't, as far as I know, there's no plans on doing any further Alien movies. No shows or anything.
There will be. No, honestly, I thought I heard that there were doing a show. Is. There was, I think, rumblings about a TV show. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be. I'm sure it'll be interesting, but.
I mean, you could easily set something during the same time as Alien and use all that kind of retro technology and stuff.
I just want to see it move away from the military aspect. I'm tired of seeing Space Marines and aliens and predators.
Thank you, James Cameron.
Well, he did a great job. And
I know,
that was a great story. And it was an action film, and he completely took it in, he basically terminated the franchise by making it more along the lines of his type of thing. It still fit perfectly into the universe, and it made sense. I mean, the thing I love about Aliens is that they find her, 100 and something years later, or 80 years later.
Yeah, it's like 120 years later, 140 years later.
Her family's gone, and
she's alone.
It's just her and the cat, and they're like, you blew up the ship.
Yeah.
You owe us a lot of money. You're going to have to come back to work, Ripley.
Yeah, it was
you're going to have to work that off.
50 billion tons of ore that you destroyed.
Yeah.
You're like, that's it.
We kind of own you now.
My absolute favorite thing in all the franchises, the scene where she's doing the basketball. She's playing against Ron Perlman. The scene where she throws it over her head, that's not CGI. She literally did that.
It's amazing.
And they were so shocked. They were like, we're going to have to do this like 50 times, or we can just, do a CGI ball. She's like, let me try. First take. Bang.
And you could see it on the faces of the other actors. Yeah. Like, oh, holy moly.
It's just, Sigourney Weaver is such a badass. She's so awesome.
She's amazing. I really love when a movie creates a universe that is expanded upon on different movies. And I think all of the movies that we do this month, especially Alien and Terminator, just expanded into this completely ridiculous universe of so many different things happening and so many different stories to tell. I think First Blood is kind of First Blood's the best of the bunch.
Yeah.
It's because it's a real movie, about a real guy. And that subsequently gets more and more ridiculous. And they're fun up until the first four are fun, ridiculous, stupid movies. The Rambo, I think it's the penultimate one or maybe the third to the last one, where literally the third act of the movie is just him with a machine gun blowing guys apart for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't need to see that one again.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to be rewatching all of those movies.
I think it was the second to last one where he gets on. There's a driver in a Jeep and he gets on the back with the gun.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh, and I think it was the second to last one.
Yeah.
So that was like 2010 or 2011. But that guy just becomes mincemeat, and it is so disturbing.
And then he just does that to about 1,000 guys as they come.
It's so gross.
But what's so sad about that, and we'll talk about it when it comes up, is that to me, First Blood is Sylvester Stallone's best movie. Hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down. And it is a great movie. And you'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
But Alien and Terminator are more the kind of franchises that I like, which is sci-fi and also building upon a world. And I love world building. I love little minutia. I love the things that carry over from movie to movie to movie. I love the Easter eggs. I love that kind of stuff. And these franchises that they've created really lend itself to that. And I'm glad that we started with Alien, because I think Alien, not counting Star Wars or any of that stuff, but Alien was really the first big franchise movie.
Yeah.
Maybe, James Bond, but James Bond is also a different kind of thing.
Very different beast.
It's a bunch of books, and it has its own thing. But this was kind of the first movie to expand a universe that went beyond film, beyond TV, beyond books, beyond games, beyond in comic books, and just created an entire industry based around the product, right?
Right.
And for the most part, a pretty solid piece of work. Pretty solid genre, pretty solid thing.
There's a really great. You can find them online. You can there's a timeline where it includes all the Alien movies and the Predator movies and a couple other, the Blade Runner, and apparently Soldiers in the same universe.
Yeah.
But you can watch all of these. There's great online. You can find timelines. Sit down and watch like 15 movies that are all in this universe.
Oh, those are so fun to me,
It's huge. I mean, it all started with this movie.
Yes, and it also just, and like you're saying, it inspires people to create timelines and to fill in the gaps and to have fan fiction and to have fan films made from Alien. And also, it's one of the first franchises, too, again, not counting Star Wars.
Right. Well, but again, that was a different beast.
Completely brought people in and sucked them in and created its own cottage industry.
It was so inspiring to so many people. So many people wanted to tell stories like that.
Because it wasn't just Jaws in space.
No,
it was
definitely
a
not.
really solid, scary, suspenseful, well-rounded, excellent film that deserved to be nominated for Academy Awards, I think.
Next time you go into a room and you turn the light on, look for that alien trying to give you a hug.
Go give you a hug. Anyway.
We'll be back next week. We're going to do First Blood. First Blood. That's what we're covering.
Is it First Blood?
Yeah.
Is that Terminator's was after First Blood?
Yeah, Terminator was 84.
Oh,
First Blood was 82. But hopefully by then I will have finished the book, First Blood, which is very different.
First Blood, not me. My favorite part of that movie is when he's like, he's just gonna drive his car. He's gonna drive his car. I was like, he's got no legs. Where's his legs? He's got no legs. You'll see. Oh boy.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Wet.
What the was that? Oh my god. Here we go down to the Gen X Files. Here we go down to the Gen X Files.
Okay.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Dallas, already in progress.